Hey, I'm Nick Williams, and in this video, I'm going to tell you how to get to the income and, most importantly, the assets. At Medicare Millionaire, we have a four-product progression that we teach, and it's important that you're able to uncover those annuity opportunities, and it's important that you know what a person's income is for many different reasons. Now, I'm going to show you two ways in which this is done. One is the Medicare and You book. This is real simple, okay? On page 83 of the 2019, it may change pages in 2020, but on page 83, it talks about extra help. Now you go here, again, this is the first of two techniques to get this information. You go here and you'll see that there is a qualifier for assets. For a married couple, it's $28,150. So you go right there, you say, look, in order to qualify for this extra help, you have to have an income less than $28,150. Are you above or below that? And they'll say, they'll tell you, they'll say, well, we got money down at the bank. Bam, you're talking money now, right? So, and it's not like you want to dive down that rabbit hole, but you do have an opportunity to discuss money. But now here's the thing. They may say it's at the bank. They may say it's with the broker, and I want to at least get with that much information. And the way I do that is I'll talk about liquidity. I'll say, well, is that something that you have access to? Because that's important. And they'll tell you, again, this would be, and I may give them an example. I'll say, for example, if it's in an IRA or 401k, it may be more difficult to get at that money than if it's in a savings account or a checking account. Even with a CD, you would have surrender charges if you needed to access, or penalties is what they would call them, if you needed to access that money quickly. And then just let the chips fall where they may. It doesn't matter if you get this information or not each and every time. You're just going for that one time here or there where you get lucky, because you'll make a lot of money. And by the way, we'll do all the work in putting these things together for you. We have an expert that knows this, and it's all they do. It's all they've practically ever done is annuities. So we have the best help there for you for the annuity. Now, again, the same thing for the assets. Same thing for the income. If you look on that page 83, it talks about income. So it's about $1,500 a month, ballparkish, in order to qualify. So you have to be under that threshold of $1,500. If you're above it, you don't qualify. So that would be the question. So you get into their income. If they say below it, well, there's a fair chance. If they say they're below it, you go right to the assets. But I like to start at the assets, because it tells me that big picture, for that potential thing. And I'll make a mental note of it and come back to that annuity. One of the things that I will say, I plant a seed regarding the annuity. I'll say something along the lines of, well, if they say, for example, if they say it's at the bank, I'll say, well, I'll shake my head. I'll go, and I'll just make that look, and they'll be like, sometimes they'll know. They'll be like, yeah, I know. I don't get much return there. And I'll say, it's almost criminal. And I say, maybe I can help you out with that. But we'll talk about that another time. Let's get back to the Medicare. Or they'll say they have it at the broker. And I'll do the same thing. I'll go, ooh. And then they'll say, what? I'll say, well, that can be a roller coaster ride, can it? And if they bite, then I know I got something. Again, I'll say, well, maybe I can help you out with that. Let's get back to the Medicare. We'll talk about that at another time. Now, let's just say if you're doing a basic fact finder, you're just running through asking questions. You don't have the Medicare book out. It just wasn't a fluid transition to that book. Or the people will not qualify without a doubt. In that instance, then you could, for income, the easiest way to get income is just say, ballpark me. I don't want to know exactly what your income is, but just ballpark me so I have a general idea. What is your income? And they'll tell you what it is. But if you just come right out and ask them, how much money do you make, or what is your income, they won't give it to you. Again, if you say, I don't need to know exactly, can you ballpark me on what your income is? They'll tell you. And it works like a charm. I assure you, it works like a charm. So, and it almost always works. Almost always works. Now, So let's get to the assets. Now, there's a lot of different ways to get these assets. But remember, we are not here as a financial planner. So we're not going through the full fact finder. We're just here to, we're basically uncovering some facts that may be useful for other purposes. But we're not going to beat this and fight for this information. But what you can say, one way, and again, there's other ways, what you can say to get to the assets is, it's suggested that you have an emergency fund of 6 times your monthly expenses, all your bills totaled up. Do you have a reserve fund? And they'll go into that right there. They'll tell you that yes, I do. I got money down at the bank, or they may say I've got a 401k or an IRA. Like, for example, if they say a 401k, I'll say, well, you never rolled that over when you're retired? If they say an IRA, there's 1,000 questions, but I just want to be very simple with this. Now, if they don't say what it is, I'll just simply say, well, is that someplace where it's liquid? Is that in a liquid account? Because, for example, if you have an IRA or a 401k, or an annuity, it may be harder to get at than if it's in a savings account or a checking account. And they'll tell you. Or I'll mention CD. CDs have penalties. Is it in, could it perhaps be there? It just, again, I'm going to judge their level of excitement in this conversation. If they're pushing me away, and you could tell they don't like this conversation at all, well, then perhaps we better not have this conversation, because I'm there for the Medicare, but I'm planting a seed. So either way, I'll probably say, well, let's just focus on the Medicare, and we'll get back to that later. But that's it. You got to uncover that. You got to take those shots. If you find the annuity money, you might make tens of thousands of dollars in one shot. Usually it's about 10 grand-ish. Maybe 7 grand-ish. People have $100,000. They've saved it up, and they could roll that over. It's into an annuity, and you make a lot of money. And it's well worth your investment of at least doing a fact finder in that, where you go down in that direction somewhat. Okay, we're going to end it right there, and we'll talk to you soon.